What's going on, guys? Today's exercise index is going to be based on the good morning. It's one of those exercises that gets a bad rap because of its positioning, but what you'll learn sooner or later is that there's no bad movements in the gym really, it's just unpreparedness for those movements. So when we look at teaching somebody a hinge movement, one of the basic pulling movements, right, the fundamentals, we're always really quick to do the deadlift first because of obvious reasons. Putting a bar on someone's back and making them hinge might not be the best thing right off the bat. But it is something that I feel we should always work forward to. The good morning provides the ability to retract the scapula in a really stable state and really learn how to strengthen your erector spinae and hinge in a way that you have to be so specific with your technique that any form breakdown will make you lose the whole movement. When you're doing a deadlift, a lot of things can kind of get loose and you'll still be able to get the lift without even getting injured. This isn't the case with a good morning. Your technique has to be on point the entire lift or else you'll collapse and the lift won't even be completed. So when we talk scapular retraction, pulling our shoulder blades together, it's not going to be an absolute when we're talking about deadlifting. Pulling our shoulder blades together the entire time throughout the deadlift is going to shorten our arms and make us have to get our hips lower to the ground. It's not a very realistic way to lift a barbell off the ground because at some point your scapula or your shoulders are going to spread apart because you're not able to keep that together the entire time. What we're more after with the deadlift is keeping lat tension down and shoulders as back as far as we can and maintain that. When we look at Olympic weightlifters, they have a really good talent of keeping that scapular retraction as those movements. But if we're talking about someone who's intermediate, we don't want to really show them how to hinge and get their back stronger, the good morning is one of the underrated tools. So starting off with the good morning, how to set it up, we're talking barbell good morning. We're going to put the barbell on our upper traps. We want to have that barbell where we have a lot of muscle mass and not on our spine or our cervical spine by our neck. We want to have it on a good chunk of muscle. Grip weight is going to be dependent on your mobility of your shoulders. The closer you can get your arms together, the better. It'll enable you to keep your shoulder blades tucked in together and the ability to activate that. After establishing where we're putting the bar, how we're gripping the bar, we're going to take the bar out and walk it out. Make sure you're staying nice and tall the entire time. You're going to initiate the hinge by keeping tall like a puppet on the string, pushing your hips back, keeping your knees slightly soft. We're not trying to perform a stiff leg deadlift. And you're going to hinge your hips all the way back, trying to keep your neck as neutral as possible. And try to go down as low as you can comfortably. If your hamstrings are tight, you're not going to get to parallel. Don't force a movement that you're not able to. And then you're going to reverse the movement by pushing your hips forward, keeping your back straight, and coming up the way you start. Key notes would be bracing is going to be crucial with this one because of the position of the barbell on our back. Again, we're not after this one for the much weight you can possibly do. We're trying to keep positions over time, right? So lats have to be tucked down, scapular has to be stable. Obviously, stomach, everything around your abdominals need to be tight, as well as your hips need to be active the entire time. Much like a lot of the barbell movements that we can do, there's a lot of variability towards them. So if you want to alter it slightly to target different muscle groups, we totally can. So say for somebody who has a good amount of shoulder mobility and you want to focus a little bit more on the hips than just the erector spinae and the hamstrings. You can put the barbell in a low bar position. This is more for the intermediate. Don't spill your coffee over this. We're going to be keeping the bar on the shelf of our upper back and kind of use our hips to move that weight instead of just our back. Barbell is going to be a little bit closer towards center of gravity, and we're going to be able to thrust those hips a little bit more. So some key notes with this one, try to widen up your stance, nothing crazy, maybe even turn the toes out a little bit and really incorporate your hips to get a little bit more power with this movement and then target the hips a bit more. Again, we started this one saying that there's no bad movements, just not being prepared for these movements. That goes a very long way. We should always be striving to challenge ourselves and strengthen ourselves in different positions. But obviously, if you have a back injury or some type of mobility restriction, don't jump into this one just yet. Make sure you can hinge first and do deadlifts, and then maybe try the good morning and some variations with it. All right, that's it for today's video. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to hit me up. I'll see you on the next one.